Good morning, boys. Mr. Pope here. Well, we're back in lockdown, unfortunately. This morning you should already have clicked on the link to the supply and demand little pop test. Hopefully you got through that one okay. Please email me with any questions, boys. Right, the next little section within the supply topic looks at Rahui, which I'll let you have a read through in your workbook, boys. Is a Māori term. Rahui essentially is a temporary restriction placed on an area or a resource, a body of water perhaps, for some social conservation region. For example, someone has drowned in a river, then there'll be a temporary rahui placed on that river. Now that would then prevent any users of that river from, for example, taking fish from it. So in that case, the supply of fish would decrease. Now you can see, we would see that graphically as a decrease in supply, a shift to the left of the supply curve, as you can see down here. A rahui may be placed on some resources if they're being overused. So if, for example, an area of the coast was being overfished, then a rahui would completely ban people from fishing there. In that case, the supply would actually drop right down to zero, so the supply curve would basically be at quantity zero and be vertical, because at no price would we be able to supply any quantity greater than zero. But that's a bit of an extreme case. Right, so anyway, have a read through, boys, and then you can complete the exercise in your workbook regarding the possible effects of a rahui being placed on the Waikato River. Now, the next page in your workbook, page 48, looks at external shocks. This is basically something outside the market for a good that happens, which prevents suppliers from being able to supply the normal quantity that they would. And your workbook lists a few different examples of external shocks here, like the global financial crisis, which happened back in about 2007, 2008. As a result of that, lots of businesses around the world struggled to be profitable and had to reduce their supply, laid off a lot of workers. So the supply of a lot of goods decreased as a result of that. Conflict. So let's say an area has a war happening within its borders. Obviously that's going to disrupt suppliers' ability to supply that product. Trade restrictions we'll look at in more detail later on, but sometimes a government will deliberately restrict the quantity of goods that can be supplied. For example, a government might restrict the supply of cars from overseas in order to try to encourage their own car manufacturers. So in that case, the supply of imported cars would shift to the left. We saw Donald Trump put lots of trade restrictions on goods coming in from China because he was trying to even up trade balance between those two countries. Okay, boys, have a read through and then you can complete the exercise down here on page 48. Good luck, boys. We'll see you again tomorrow.